Welcome back, folks. Today I can share the first images of the Canon R6 Mark III and some additional specs. This camera will be announced this week on November 6th. And please follow mirrorlessrumors.com for the live blogging, where I will add all the reviews and special info and also the affiliate links to pre-order the camera if you're interested in. We know everything about this camera, there is no more secret left. So here you see the images and here also the specs leaked on canonrumors.com. Pause the video if you want to have the time to read through all the specs. So this is going to be a terrific camera in my opinion if everything gets confirmed and the pricing is indeed below $3,000. This is an excellent mid-level full-frame camera from Canon. And it is reported that Sony is scared as hell from this camera. According to Ordinary Filmmaker, he talked to a couple of sources. Sony is quite worried about the launch of the Canon R6 Mark III because the Sony A7 V allegedly will not match the Canon's performance in some areas. For example, the Canon R6 Mark III will be able to shoot 40 frames per second in electronic shutter mode, something the Sony A7 V will not do. They will raise the bar from the 10 frames per second of the current Sony A7 IV, probably 15 frames per second in mechanical shutter. And I prefer mechanical shutter because I hate the artifacts sometimes that you see on electronic shutters, but you have the option of shooting 40 frames per second in electronic shutter mode on the Canon. The Canon also does excellent video, 7K. It has open gate, something that Sony refused to give us. Actually, in a couple of interviews in the past year, they say that open gate is a niche feature used by few people, so that's why they are not bothering to implement this feature on the camera. I'm just summing up more or less what they said. I obviously disagree, and I think you also disagree with Sony. This is just a software thing they could implement on all current cameras and on the future Sony A7 V. And I mean, everybody is now offering open gate from Nikon, Panasonic obviously, and Canon. Now I think Sony cannot just ignore this. But of course 7K video is also very important on the Canon R6 Mark III. It will have that nice sensor from the C50. And so that's why Sony is allegedly worried about this launch. Now, about the Sony A7 V, I told you already that my trusted sources told me the camera will ship in first quarter of 2026. That's confirmed. The camera also got registered in Asia, so that's a fact. I don't know when it will be announced because I heard about two announcement timeframes that are between mid-November, early December, the first one, and the second one being late January. So we know, for example, that Sony will also announce three nice lenses very soon. Those are the 100-400 GM 4.0. There is also 100-400G with variable aperture, and the wide-angle 2.0 GM lens. Those three lenses and the camera will be announced between now and Q1 of next year, so within the next 4 or 5 months, but I still don't know which product will be announced. So if you have some more info about the Sony A7 V, but also the lens launch and so forth, you can contact me using these images and contact form. But the Sony A7 V is definitely coming. I wonder if Sony can make some last minute change on the camera if you see that the Canon R6 Mark III is getting popular at launch. I don't think so. Hardware has already been done, but maybe via software they can add some last minute feature, or at least at launch tease about future firmware update that will add, for example, open gate or something like this. So that way you know that the Sony A7 V will be able to do to have open gate like the Canon and so forth. Maybe there are some things they could add via firmware update. And we have to be honest, Sony did learn the lesson from the past years, and then now very consistent with firmware updates. So that's the good news, because last week they launched the firmware update for the Sony A1 II and the Sony A9 III, where they gave us real-time recognition, AF+. They gave us also the new film simulations of the RX1R3. They gave us camera authenticity solution and many other bug fixes and features. So I'm more confident that Sony, when they will announce the Sony A7 V, they can improve the camera over time. So even if it has some stuff that it's not on par with the Canon, they can still improve on many areas. And let's see if this is a message they will let out to the press once they announce the Sony A7 V. I still hope that the camera will be announced between mid-November and early December so that you can pre-order it and then get it sometimes in January, February. I think the best case scenario as of yet. Two more small details that are very interesting when it comes to the Sony firmware update for the Sony A1 II and the A9 III. They also announced they will support content authenticity certification on videos, not only on photos, which is nice. They also are advertising a beta software that lets you check if an image has been generated with AI or if it's real. Now, moving on to some more news. We have the first image of a new Viltrox 2X E-mount full-frame teleconverter. This will be the world's first third-party teleconverter for the Sony E-mount system, and that's great news because the Sony teleconverter is actually priced at $500. I expect the Viltrox to obviously be cheaper, probably $250, $300. It will be announced within the next 2-3 weeks, so we'll know more about the pricing and availability very soon. But I think that's great that Viltrox is doing that. And the last news is that Sirui will launch new 1.33x anamorphic full-frame autofocus cine prime lenses. Those are the 50, 75 and 100mm D1.8 for the Sony E, Leica L and the Nikon Z mount system, okay? So that's all the news I had to share today. There are actually many more smaller news, but you can read them on sonyalpha.com, fortirumors.com, fujirumors.com, lrumors.com, yellowsrumors.com. All those websites are linked, and then you have 3-4 news per day on every website, and you can get all the news you want there. But I don't want to bother you with a ton of smaller news today, so I want to share the most important part. And one of the important part is also that apparently Nikon has no announcement left this year. So it's only a battle between the Canon R6 Mark III and hopefully Sony A7 V. So it's quite slow autumn compared to the previous years where we got much more cameras. But that's what it is. Don't know what's the reason behind. Maybe you know it. But anyway, if you have more info about any upcoming camera, lens or accessory announcement, contact me using this email address and contact form. Also, again, like this video to help me YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel to not miss any of the upcoming rumors. And again, just to end on a private note, I'm thinking a lot about how I should talk about my private photography project that I hinted in my last video. It is a big photography project that will be on the press next year because there are important people involved, not someone like me, but other people that are way more important. And so you will know anyway about the project, and I want you to be a part of it, to see how I do it and how I'm struggling also to realize it. It's very challenging, but I'm thinking about it, how to do it with you so that you enjoy the content and they still haven't figured out a way as of yet. But yeah, that was the last private note. Not so important, okay, if you're more focused on digital cameras and that stuff. Folks, I hope to see you soon. After the Canon R6 Mark III launch, I will talk more about the Sony A7 V, and let's see if Sony can surprise us and give us a nice camera, okay? See you soon, folks.